Hello everyone, welcome to Anime No Me, and thank you for joining us for another One Piece video. The events of chapter 1057 have just been leaked, revealing some events that left many fans of One Piece sad. But we still have some events to cheer us up besides the closure of this arc. So in today's video, we're going to talk about the leaks of this chapter, what will happen now that the conflicts of Wano have finally come to an end, what will be the fate of each pirate who participated in the confrontation on Onigashima, and what could be the fate of the citizens of Wano. But before we get into the leaks, if you're new to the channel, or even if you've been around for a bunch of episodes, we'd love it if you consider leaving us a like, or even subscribing with a comment letting us know what you thought of the video. It really helps us out and motivates us to make more content, and if you'd like to help us out in a bigger way, consider sharing your favorite video with a friend. But without further ado, let's get into these leaks. So my friends, please remember that as we talk about this, these are just leaks, and we don't have the full information about this chapter yet. So as the leaks are coming out, we'll be sure to bring you more videos, so stay tuned with us so you can get all the detail on our upcoming chapter of 1057. Please also keep in mind that the way we talk about the order or exactly how things are mentioned in the official chapter may be different, but we're gonna go ahead and go with what we have, and once we have the full disclosure of the chapter, we'll release that soon. So in this first leak of chapter 1057, we get a continuation of the events of what's going on with Wano, with the farewell of all the pirates who helped save Wano by defeating Big Mom and Kaido and the rest of their pirates. As we do in all of our leak videos, before going into depth about all the topics that are gonna be in these leaks, we're gonna first give you a list of the overview of topics, and then take each one in turn. And for this set of leaks, we've got 7 items. Firstly, number 1, Momonosuke, Kinemon, and Yamato say goodbye to Luffy and his crew. 2, Yamato will not go with Luffy and the others. First, Yamato wants to travel through Wano country and then go to sea. 3, Luffy gives his flag to Momonosuke. 4, Luffy tells Momonosuke, Kinemon, and Yamato that he will come looking for them when they want to set sail to sea. 5th, Luffy, Law, and Kid and their crews leave the land of Wano. 6th, at the end of the chapter, Momonosuke wonders where they should place the flag. And finally, 7th, this ends Act 3 and the arc of the land of Wano. So now that we've listed out our topics in this chapter, let's talk about each one a little bit deeper and what these topics might represent and what idea they're going to give us about how this chapter is going to flow. With the farewell of Luffy and the other Straw Hats, we realize that this arc of Wano has really come to an end. And after seeing incredible battles throughout this arc, it's finally over, and somehow these events have really started a major change in the world. Luffy and his companions and allies were able to defeat many major enemy pirates, most notably of course Kaido and Big Mom, who apparently met their end by falling into the magma of Wano's volcano. But there's so many more that it would almost take its own video to mention just all of the different enemies that were defeated by the great alliance that Luffy and all of his friends were able to form. When we join our story, another week has passed and Big Mom and Kaido have shown no signs of life, which means that they may really have lost their lives in this battle in Onigashima. So just like Whitebeard, 2 more Yonko from the former generation have had an end to their lives. So with the fall of these 2 Yonko, Luffy and Buggy the Clown were able to win their titles. Luffy of course obtained it by managing to defeat Kaido on Onigashima, while Buggy obtained it by joining forces with Crocodile and Mihawk to form the Cross Guild in a quest to destroy the Marine organization. So as I just said, 2 more Yonko of the old generation fell, leaving only Shanks of the original generation still alive and holding his title of Yonko. And currently in this arc of Wano, we saw that Shanks right at the end was near to Wano, and we also heard about his intentions to defeat Bartolomeo and finally set off in search for the One Piece. But with Shanks heading out, this opens several possibilities of what could happen to Shanks until Luffy meets up with him. For instance, there's a good possibility, however remote, that he could be defeated or lose his life to some other pirate of the new generation. And if that were somehow to happen, that would mean that all of the Yonkos that would be on the roster would be of the new generation, and thus extinguishing these legendary pirates of the old generation and putting their fame into history. Next, based on the leaks, it looks like, unfortunately, Yamato will not be joining the Straw Hats for some reason. Now, perhaps Yamato changed his mind and wishes to explore the world on his own for now, because until it's necessary for him to really need to team up, maybe he just wants to stretch his legs and then go on to meet up with the Straw Hats later when the final big battle comes. So what the leaks have said is that Yamato is going to travel around the Wano country for the time being at least, and possibly helping people to get back on their feet after all of these 20 years of being enslaved and doing all of these things for Kaido and Orochi. And because Yamato is the son of Kaido, he may feel some attachment or some responsibility to help take care of the the people and recover the old life that the people of Wano once had. Make the country recover completely and returning to a prosperous and peaceful country once again. After completing this goal, Yamato said that then he will leave for the seas, and he'll probably meet again with Luffy to join the Straw Hats. So even though Yamato may not be joining the cruise right now, in the future, Yamato does intend to in fact join the Straw Hats. There may be another reason as well why Yamato is choosing to stay in Wano, and that is a fear that something could happen to Wano again. Because with the exchange with Ryukugyu, we saw that there are definitely other enemies that may look and set Wano in their sights, especially for the fact that Wano does have a road poneglyph. So this, by Yamato staying, it would be a deterrent to make the enemies unable to defeat the inhabitants of Wano, because Yamato would be there to help in every way and in every need. But once Wano has fully recovered, and they have great allies on their side, and their ranks of samurai have been refilled, Yamato then can set off to find Luffy and join the Straw Hats for good. So this farewell to Yamato is not something permanent. It's not even a goodbye, it's a we'll see you later kind of thing. So Yamato will very soon actually join the Straw Hats and be able to help them fulfill their dreams, as well as allowing Yamato to fulfill his dream of traveling the world. So next, there's a scene where Luffy tells Momonosuke, Kinemon, and Yamato that if they sail out to sea, he will find them and help them and shelter them on his ship, because now they are truly allies and nakama, and he intends to keep this alliance forever. This means that if Momonosuke, Kinemon, or Yamato ever wish to become a Straw Hat in the future, they would be very welcome to join the crew. But as we know, the possibility of Momonosuke or even Kinemon joining the Straw Hats is really quite low, because Momonosuke is going to want to stay in Wano to protect his homeland, and he cannot leave his post as Shogun to travel the world together with the Straw Hats. But it doesn't mean that they can't participate in the great adventure that may happen in the future, as well as the battle we know that has to be looming over the horizon. The same pretty much goes for Kinemon. I mean, after all, he needs to stay in Wano to protect Momonosuke and the country, plus he's just reunited with his wife Suru after 20 years, and so he's probably not going to want to leave his lady either. But again, he'll be able to join up with Luffy in the future, where we know there's going to be again this major conflict, so when an enemy arises, you know that Kinemon and pretty much the rest of Wano is going to be there. Now this leaves only Yamato, who is sure to join the Straw Hats after helping people in Wano to stabilize, because as we saw during the Wano arc, this is Yamato's greatest desire, to go out to sea just like Odin. Yamato, in fact, may just be waiting for the right time to leave together with the Straw Hats to achieve his dreams. So right now may not be just the right moment. I mean, after all, Yamato has been imprisoned in one place on this island and may not have even had a chance to fully explore Wano. And with this love of Odin, wouldn't you think that Yamato would want to explore every square inch of this country that Odin called home? Plus, the idea of unfinished business where Yamato might be waiting for the right time to leave with the Straw Hats isn't something that we haven't seen before. I mean, after all, this is quite similar to Jinbei. When he was invited to join the crew by Luffy, he said that he needed to wait because he still had some unresolved business with Big Mom. Now, once he had cut ties with the Emperor, Jinbei then went on to join the Straw Hats during the Whole Cake Island arc. So what we would expect is in some future arc of this final saga of One Piece, Yamato will finish his objective in One Piece, and then finally set out to sea to find Luffy and the Straw Hats to join the crew. And of course, with Yamato and the power he brings to the crew, this would be a huge help against future enemies that are going to appear as we go into this final saga of One Piece. So next in the leaks, we see that once the Straw Hats bid farewell to the citizens of Wano, Luffy, Law, and Kid, and their respective crews each set off in a different direction, following their own paths to reach the One Piece treasure. But now that they're enemies again, or at least, let's just call them rivals, they're going to try their best to get the information to find the One Piece before the other one does. So the next meeting they will have may not be so peaceful and amicable. But as we depart, we then just follow, of course, the crew of Luffy in search of the One Piece treasure. Now, the island that Luffy is going to is still unknown, but apparently not even Luffy and the Straw Hats know what this place is. However, this island could be very important to the story, because after all, in a scene that we saw in one of the more recent chapters, there were 3 different log poses pointing in 3 different directions. This next island, in fact, could be the place where Luffy and his companions will get information about where the last and final road poneglyph left is to be found, so they can get all the pieces of the map to finally conquer their goal of finding the One Piece. And then, after seeing the Straw Hats and all the other pirates who helped save Wano leave, Momonosuke wonders where they should place the flag. Now, this could end up being more of a comical scene. I mean, after all, Wano is a pretty big place and fairly inaccessible. Now, because of the size, there are several possibilities where Momonosuke could place this flag to represent the alliance that Wano has with the Straw Hats, leaving us to wait in the future to know where Momonosuke will place. And this seems something that would be relevant and of great great importance in future should an enemy try and invade Wano. And with that, friends, this brings an end to the Wano arc. And now that all the pirates have left the country and the citizens of Wano are left to defend themselves and rebuild with their samurai, ninja, and minks that are in the country, this brings an end to our entire arc and, of course, Act 3. But in the Onigashima confrontation, we saw that they will absolutely be able to step up and protect Wano, because the people of Wano are incredibly strong. Besides, I mean, they also have Yamato on their side, they have Momonosuke, and so many others that were released even from prison. So as we head into the beginning of this final saga, we are going to have some amazing events yet to happen. We're going to get answers to questions that some of us had had since the very beginning of the series. And of course, we will finally get to see that wonderful of wondrous things, what the One Piece treasure is. After all, Luffy's goal is very close to being realized, or at least a lot closer than we have been in these last 25 years. And now that he's managed to become a Yonko, it only remains for how he becomes king of the pirates. Now, whether it's through the One Piece or something else, we know there are many dangers to come. But with all that said, I'd love to know what you think about it. Where do you think the flag for the Straw Hats should go in Wano? And also, why do you think Yamato wants to stay in Wano? Do you think it's really to help protect because of everything that happened with Ryokugyu? Or do you think Yamato feels some responsibility for all of the harm his father Kaido did? And after all that, where do you think the next island is, and what do you think it's gonna hold? And could it have something to do with, say, Bartolomeo and Shanks? Let us know what you think in the comments below. So my friends, we've got a break here between chapters 1056 and 1057. But with 1056, we see that most of the pending issues in Wano have been resolved. The citizens of Wano are once again happy and safe and looking to rebuild after Kaido and everything that happened with Kaido and Big Mom on Onigashima. It also looks as though they are also safe from any possible threat from the Navy and possibly other enemy pirates there in the country while they rebuild. Now recovered, Law, Luffy, and Kid and their crews are going to leave to different places since their alliance has ended. So each is going to follow their own path to find the One Piece treasure. So that they wouldn't go to the same place, Law decided to go to the northeast, Kid to go to the east, and Luffy to the southeast. Each of them now possesses a translation of their own poneglyph that was in Wano. So these three pirates knows that it only is going to take one more to find the One Piece. Kid seems to know about a possible person who could give some really important information about where the One Piece might be, saying that a man with a burn scar could help him find the treasure. And meanwhile, Luffy and Law have not really revealed their next steps. During their conversation, they mention Pluton, and Luffy states that he doesn't want this ancient weapon, which means that at least for the time being, it's going to stay in Wano. But Caribou overhears this conversation and knows what Pluton is and that Pluton is in Wano. Next, Caribou says that he needs to give this information to a certain character, but we don't know who that could be. But it could end up being a very big problem for Wano in the future, because this mysterious character may go to Wano in search of Pluton. And finally, we see that Yamato is determined to go ask Luffy for permission to be a Straw Hat, to start following the same path as Odin, which means that the next chapter could be the final closure of this Wano arc. So thinking ahead to chapter 1057, we expect that Yamato is going to go to the Straw Hats to talk to Luffy and ask to become a Straw Hat, something that Luffy is probably going to easily accept, because Yamato has proven to be a very trustworthy ally and would also be a strong addition to the crew. Yamato helped confront his own father, which allowed the citizens of Wano to finally live their lives without worrying about the oppression of Kaido and Orochi. And it looks like we might finally have an end to all of the speculation that's been going on around the community about who would become the next Straw Hat. And it's gonna be Yamato to become a Straw Hat, and then leaves with the crew, and we'll see that Luffy, Law, and Kid each head in their own direction, as they now would be enemies, and if not enemies, at least competitors and rivals. We don't know the exact name of the islands where the Straw Hats or anybody else are going, because we did see that there was a log pose with 3 different needles, each one pointing at a different island. But it could be that on this island, they're gonna have to think of new ways of where the last remaining road poneglyph might be, while our crew searches for clues to the next road poneglyph. Shanks is gonna be in search of Bartolomeo so that he can then go and meet Luffy. And it's very likely that Oda is postponing this meeting because of the One Piece Red movie. Now, in years past, in other One Piece movies, we've seen a lot of releases in, August, September. But this is gonna be a really special one because this movie is about Shanks, a character that we have been craving information for a very long time. And it's also been confirmed that information in this movie could actually end up being canonical, which would allow Oda to do something very special about the meeting of Luffy and Shanks in the original manga. So it may be only after the release of the One Piece Red movie that we will finally get to see Luffy and Shanks having a meeting in which will be essential for Luffy to be able to find the last road poneglyph needed, and also maybe get crucial information about what his destiny is now that he's fully awakened his devil fruit. Another thing we could see in chapter 1057 is we could get a little bit more information about this cross-guild relationship, this alliance between Crocodile, Mihawk, and Buggy, and really maybe get some clarification about whether it's a three-man captaincy, or if it's really Buggy at the head and Crocodile and Mihawk are subordinates. So maybe we'll get a chance to better understand how everything is worked in and whether this alliance was the reason that gave Buggy the reward and also the title of Yonko. One other important piece to the puzzle of why Buggy was awarded the title of Yonko also has to deal with the fact that his company, this cross guild, has been setting bounties on Marines' heads. So it is not just the pirates in the world that are being hunted, but it is now the hunters who have become the hunted. And even citizens who want to go after Marines, not just pirates, can go after. So hopefully we'll get a sense of why, and whether this is a bigger plan or if it's just revenge for the fact that the warlord system was dissolved. Because when something involves Buggy, you never just can tell how the story's going to play out. After all, he is one of Oda's favorite characters, and we've seen some really crazy curveballs come with it. So however it plays out, whether this cross guild is going after the Navy or even looking to take down admirals, we just have to wait and see how the story plays out. So going back to another thing that happened in 1056, we saw Caribou overhearing the conversation about Pluton, and that he says that he needs to tell this information to a mysterious person, which could very well be Teach. Because after all, we know that Teach is in search of more power, and with this information, he would be able to obtain one of the most powerful things in the world, one of the three ancient weapons. Teach is also one of the only characters who possesses the physical ability to break Wano's border without needing Zunisha's help. After all, with his Gora Gora no Mi, Teach would be able to easily break the great wall that covers Wano, allowing them to fall and thus revealing Pluton. With this power in his hands, Teach could become an even greater danger, and he would also be able to see the road poneglyph that is in the underground Wano castle, thus getting more information about where the One Piece treasure might be. In chapter 1057, it may also reveal more information about what happened to Sabo. Now, we do know that he and the other revolutionaries escaped, but we don't know anything about the details. We know that he was there to free Kuma and allegedly did, but we also know that there's the situation with Cobra and Vivi. So it's possible with that special investigator that was talking to Akainu that the Navy is somehow going to try and find out what really happened in this scuffle, because it seems that there's some of the information that's being given out by the world government has not made sense and set some people to questioning what they're doing. Because as we know, during the Revelry arc, Sabo and a couple of the commanders from the Revolutionary Army used the Revelry as a cover to invade the land of Mary Joie in an attempt to rescue their companion Kuma, who had been enslaved by the world nobles. When Sabo saw what they were doing to Kuma and how much they had done, he just couldn't resist and decided to save him. And during the rescue, apparently everything was going well until Sabo and the commanders were cornered by Fujitora and Ryokugyu. As they had no other choice, they had to fight, but because they were in a place where the world nobles were, the admirals could not use all the power because they feared of hurting all of these celestial dragons during the battle. But even with this limited power, the revolutionaries could not stand against the admirals, so Sabo decided to order the commanders to retreat to the revolutionaries' hideout along with Kuma, while Sabo stayed and confronted the admirals, buying time for his comrades to escape. So Sabo stood outnumbered in front of two admirals while his companions fled. Now this then kinda led Oda to do a little bit of an allegation that Sabo may have died, but indeed he did end up escaping with his friends. Now, how worse the wear Sabo was after that confrontation, we don't know. So even if the idea of Sabo dying is a bit of a fake out, which, let's be honest, Oda is tempted to do and does quite often to our pleasure, it still has some information in this whole arc that doesn't make sense. And the first of which is that the world government said that Sabo took Cobra's life, who of course is the king of Alabasta, and also Vivi has disappeared. And Vivi's disappearance does bring us up to really two distinct possibilities. First of which is that she could have gone along with the revolutionaries during the escape, and that Cobra was killed perhaps by the admirals while he was covering her escape. Or or she could have been taken by the world government. After all, in Im-sama's appearance, Vivi is chosen to have her light put out. So some of these two organizations are involved with the disappearance of the Princess of Alabasta. And going back to the subject of King Nefertari Cobra for losing his life, because they said Sabo was responsible, we have to wonder why. Because as we clearly know, Sabo would never be able to do something like this, or would ever have the goal in mind to do that. Now, Dragon could have ordered Sabo to get Vivi out of the revelry on Cobra's request, because we don't know what the world government may have had in mind for this country. But this brings us back again to the question of why. We know that Sabo escaped, but there's still this inconsistency of information, and the Navy has apparently called in an expert in analyzing crime scenes to find out what exactly happened. This will allow Akainu to discover the information that the world government was withholding from the Navy, allowing Akainu to realize that all this time, the world government has just been manipulating information about important events. But Akainu is not going to be able to do anything about it because it's already happened, and the Navy could start losing many more important sailors because of the Cross Guild putting bounties on the sailors' heads. These bounties on Marines' heads makes them targets for not only pirates and bounty hunters, but even citizens who want to have their bounties. And this is going to leave the Navy weakened, because we've seen in many places throughout our story where the Marine residents in islands are not exactly the greatest people in the world. But as the Navy is weakened, this is going to cause some serious problems for Akainu, because he's not going to be able to concentrate on the main problem, which of course is going to be the world government. However, what the world government and even maybe the Marines may not expect is that the revolutionaries seem to be staging to prepare for some great battle. Now, perhaps it's something that they learned about during the revelry, or perhaps something deeper. We don't know. But there you have it, my friends. These are the possible themes that could be in our next chapter of 1057. And all of those pieces that are starting to set the stage for our wonderful and last epic battle to decide the fate of the world. So right now we have allies becoming enemies, or at least frenemies or rivals, pick your word. We also have great dangers emerging with this final saga, and we'll finally get to see the Straw Hats finding that last poneglyph that is going to lead us to this treasure. But again, there's still these huge threats ahead, and especially Teach, who's been planning something very, very big. Something that we may find out soon as he puts his plan into action. Because right now, the world of One Piece is changing. Even the Marines are being chased by pirates and bounty hunters, which means a really big battle is going to be coming. Something that could change the world of One Piece even more, maybe even physically. It could be something that's positive or negative, or kind of just a change for both sides. So in this next chapter of One Piece, we're going to continue to have these really important events laid out, and finally maybe get to see how this major conflict, this great ending battle, will start for our great series. But for right now, my friends, I'd love to know what you think about it. How do you think the Straw Hats will get that final road poneglyph? I mean, there are a lot of different ideas that have been floated around the community, but what's your favorite? Secondly, what do you think is going to be this resolution or this connection between Bartolomeo and Shanks? And do you think that this is going to actually facilitate the meeting between Shanks and Luffy? And finally, what do you think is going on with this Cross Guild? Do you think that Crocodile and Mihawk are subordinates to Buggy, or do you think that this is more of a kind of a triple-headed, captaincy? Let us know what you think in the comments below. But now, my friends, I want to thank you all so much for watching the video all the way up to the very end. Be sure you comment on any themes or ideas that you'd like to see in future videos. And also, since you made it this far, give us a like or hit that red subscribe button before you head out to take on the rest of your day. I hope to see you all in our next video, and let's keep sailing this giant sea together. Take care.